Welcome to this new edition of Be My Guest, and in English this time. So Goldfinger, Bullet, Fast and Furious, Ford versus Ferrari, just to name a few, both on screen and on the road, the Ford Mustang is a star. Launched 56 years ago by Lee Iacocca, it was immediately a hit, stylish, compact, performance. The muscle car was born and the legend lives on. Those last days, the Mustang Mach1 and the insane full electric Mach-E 1400 were unveiled. To talk about them, I'm happy to welcome exterior designer Anthony Colard, live from Dearborn. Hello, Anthony.
Hi,
nice
everyone.
to have you here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
So you happen to be French as well, donc vous êtes français également. So we're gonna say bonsoir à nos amis français. So hello to our French friends. So first of all, Anthony, how does a French designer become the designer of the iconic American brand?
I don't know exactly. It's I think my bosses at Ford.
Talent, Anthony, talent. That's
well, there's always that. I mean, you can't be a designer if you don't know how to sketch a car. But I think my bosses at Ford, when I joined the company, I was working for Lincoln, and a few years ago we were moving people around, and my chief at the time was like, all right, I know you love Mustangs, I know you love muscle cars, you do track days, you're always about performance and sports cars. So I think he put in a good word for me to join the Mustang team, and that's kind of how it went on.
So these last days, we attended the launch of two different models at Mustang. So the thermic engine iconic Mach1, and that makes its comeback after a 17-year break, and the Mach-E 1400, two models, two philosophies. So two questions. First, can a Mustang be electric? What do you think?
I think it can. It's Mustang has always been a product of its time. It came on the market because Lee Iacocca had that vision that people needed that car and people wanted that car at the time, and it has evolved through time to become what it is today. We've had many different versions and many different generations, and you have everything from a GT500 to the EcoBoost. There's basically a Mustang for everyone, I would say. And I think having the Mach-E today and soon on the road, I think it's a good addition to the family. I don't think it's replacing the S550 EcoBoost or V8 Mustang, and everybody loves the coupe. But some people needed a similar range of performance, but with, more usability, bigger real space for passengers. You have fast dads and fast moms out there who have kids, and they want to enjoy what a Mustang can offer, but they still want to have the kids be relaxed in the back. And in the coupe, it's not necessarily feasible on a daily basis. So it just caters to a different audience, a different customer. Maybe a Mustang customer who has evolved also into a different kind of car. So I think, and electricity is one of the new technologies we're working with. I think it makes total sense to do one.
So what is the range of the Mach1, the Mach-E, sorry?
I don't know, I'm not sure. I know we have different battery options, and depending on whether you buy the Mach-E or the Mach-E GT, they don't have the same powertrain setup. I think it's in the range of 300 miles.
300 miles.
Yeah, I think that's roughly the range we offer with these vehicles.
So, you worked on both projects, so the Mach1 and the Mach-E. What is your favorite model? Are you more SUV or are you more the iconic coupe?
Well, technically, I didn't work on the Mach-E. I worked at the beginning when we were just starting the program. Usually within Ford, you have, when one of those programs which are really iconic start, there's kind of a worldwide design competition, including all the studios and all the designers to kind of send sketches and show their ideas for it. And that was the case on Mach-E. So I worked on that phase, which was the really, really early beginnings of the vehicle. And then it was taken over by the production team who, got it all the way to the end. So I didn't work on the production car, but I got the really cool opportunity to work on the demonstrator, the Mach-E 1400. And being good friends with the designers who worked on the production car, it was pretty nice to sometimes talk with them and say, and working in parallel with them, also on the Mach-1 and next generation Mustang, for example. It was a good experience talking with them and saying, what are you doing on Mach-E that we're not doing on the traditional heritage Mustang? And what are you doing differently? What are you taking from the traditional Mustang and putting on Mach-E? Where do you get the inspiration? So that was pretty cool.
So we're going to take a look first at the Mach-1, and let's first take a look at where the name comes from with a short video. That sounds.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
So Mach-1 is power. So can you tell me more about the car? So it was born in 1969.
Yeah, it's so we've had, this is the third generation Mach-1 basically. The first generation, initially Mach-1 started in 69 all the way to 1978. And initially it was more of an appearance package. You could get pretty much almost any engine that you could get into a Mustang GT was available with the Mach-1 also. So Mach-1 offered stripes, graphics, specific logos, different grille, louvers on the rear windows, stuff like this. So it was a little bit more of kind of a glamour package on the vehicle. It didn't really necessarily say, we have different springs or different brakes or more power. That kind of came a little bit later. The second generation was 2003, 2004, and they took a lot of components from the Mustang, I think it was the SVT Cobra that came out 1 or 2 years before. So they took powertrain from that, suspensions, brakes. So it was an upgraded GT, which was offering a little bit more performance. And it's kind of what we did also on the 2021 Mach-1. We took the engine from the Bullet, so you have 480 horsepower. We took suspension components from the Performance Pack 2 and the Shelby, both GT350, GT500. The rear wing, the swing that we call with the gurney flap on the handling package is straight from the GT500. So we took Brakes are from the Performance Pack 2 also. So it's a little bit of parts bin engineering. We kind of took everything which was good on every version of the current Mustang and compiled it into the Mach-1 to make it the most track capable 5-liter V8 Mustang available today.
And personally, I think it's so much better than the 2003 version. It looks so great, and you still can find the DNA of the 1969 edition.
Yeah, we were lucky enough that on this one, it was not just doing stripes and graphics and putting different wheels on it. We actually have a new front fascia. So that gave me the opportunity to look back at what we were doing in like 69, 70, for example, which were big sources of inspiration. And taking some of the details from the previous cars that we've made with Ford and implementing them into the new design. So we had to also anyway change the front end because we were accommodating the oil cooler and the transmission cooler from the GT350 that you can't get on the other Mustangs. And that meant that even if we had taken the 2018 front fascia, that wouldn't fit. So we had to do a new fascia.
So I have some sketches that you drew before, of course, production, and so there are different options actually. So there were some very interesting ones. This is very aggressive, I think.
Yeah, this is this one basically Chris Stevens, you can see his signature on it. He did the GT500 and the Bullet and the 2018 Mustang, and he was with me on that program when we started it. It was just him and I, just kind of like with a friendly competition because we're really good friends, and we did the two images with the red elements. It was basically just to say what in terms of design we wanted to change on the vehicle, like which parts we were going to actually redesign. And then we just got the ball rolling and started sketching over the 2018 model, basically, and trying some new ideas. And I can't remember how many sketches we did, but there was, quite a few hundreds of them.
Yeah, I bet you did. So I think it's available in 8 different colors, but of course,
yeah,
of course with the stripes. So the stripes can match or not for whatever you want.
Yeah, you have 8 colors and 3 different stripe options. One of the stripe options is only available with the Fighter Jet Gray. That's the one you see in the video, and on that picture too. So that's a specific package where you get the orange calipers and the orange stripes, and also on the interior you can get an orange stripe that goes across the seats, like we had back in late 60s, and that's one specific package. And then the other colors have either a red or a white stripe.
And I think it's available with a manual transmission, a 6-speed manual transmission, but you can have an automatic transmission as well, a 10-speed automatic transmission.
Yes, we took the 10-speed auto that we already have on the Mustang, and because we wanted to have both options for the customers. And the 6-speed is actually straight out of the GT350. So it's the thermic 3160, I think is the number. That's a really good transmission. Everybody loves it. So we had a few conversations with the engineering team, and they really saw the importance of having a manual for even for the regular buyers, but also for people who want to go on track and a little bit more old school. They want to have 3 pedals and a manual and shift the gears themselves. So
and feel the road.
Yeah. But it's going to be a really good package driving wise. It's got really good handling dynamics. Our benchmark was all the time, we were looking at GT350 and GT350R as being the benchmark we were aiming for, and we got really close to it in terms of performance, even though, you know, we don't have the 5.2-liter engine, and there's a lot of stuff we couldn't get from the Shelbys, but we still managed to make a car that is almost as fast as the GT350.
So we have another short video showing the Mach1. So the Mach1 together with older editions.
Yeah, these are pretty nice.
So a couple of days ago, actually it was I think 3 days ago, there was another release at Mustangs, but this time completely different. So the Mach-E 1400 prototype, which is absolutely, oh yes, oh first, hold on, first you're going to show me your t-shirt.
Oh.
Before we switch to the Mach-E, so this is the Mach-1.
So yeah, we got contacted at the end of the program to do a t-shirt for the launch of Mach-1. And usually we either outsource or have a team who does that. But lately it's been a thing within Ford to actually ask the designers who did the car to do the part of the merchandising. And so it was a good opportunity to get one of the sketches that I was doing, you know, from time to time when I have a little bit of time off, just for fun, to get like a cool background for my computer or something like this. So that made it into a t-shirt, which is pretty nice.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Can we buy it as well?
Yeah. This one is one of the first ones we were getting just before the launch of the vehicles, but I think they're going to be available for sale on the Ford merchandise website.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention that the two historical vehicles we saw together with the Mach-1 were driven by their owners, so they're classic cars, they're collector cars, actually.
Yeah, that was shot at M1 Concourse in Pontiac. It's a local track that has been built a few years ago. It's a pretty cool track to drive, and it's been good with Ford, you know, to do product launches and test drives. And I remember, I think the 2019 GT350, because it had a few upgrades, they had the press was over there testing the cars, and there's a lot of like all those buildings around the track. It's all like super high-end garages, so all the people store their cars over there. So there's a few guys we know over there who have some cool old Mustangs, so it was a good opportunity to get them on track with the new Mach-1.
Well, I bet where you live, well, close to Detroit, you have a lot of Mustangs on the roads.
Yeah. I mean, we've got one in the driveway, so can't complain.
A classic one?
No, I have the GT350, the latest one. I wanted to buy an old Mustang when I arrived here, but didn't find one that was, you know, exactly alike. And usually my cars, I modify them a lot and make them down to the last detail the way I want them. So I got the opportunity to get one of the new GT350s, and you know, that car is a blast. So definitely
which is very nice indeed.
Yeah.
And how about getting the Mach-E 1400? I'm going to show the video first, a short video, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Get ready, this is insane. oops, sorry, this isn't a car, this is a rocket.
Pretty much.
This is absolutely crazy. So first thing, something really struck me, this is the sound.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to see it in real life, actually driving yet. But from what I've been told, the sound is pretty insane. And I thought the sound was coming from the front and rear diffs, because you wouldn't have an engine noise to kind of like cover it, like you see on race cars when you see them on track. You always have the gearbox whine or the diff, but it's actually the electric motors who generate that sound, and it's pretty cool. I'm down for having something like this.
So the driver in that video was Von Gitting. So
Yeah.
he's the CEO of the company RTR you collaborated with.
Yeah.
And I have another very short video showing his feedback, what he thinks about it.
Yeah.
Getting behind the wheel of this car has completely changed my perspective of what power and what torque and what the feeling of G-forces are. And when you first experience this, it's like nothing you've ever imagined. The only thing I can compare it to is like a magnetic roller coaster.
That sounds pretty good.
Have you driven it?
No, I don't think I will ever drive it. I don't have the credentials for that.
So I have a question from Mundi. Did you work on the creation of a special sound dedicated to this car? So
I didn't.
You just can recognize the model just to the sounds,
No.
you know, just like a regular Mustang engine. You hear the engine, you know it's a Mustang.
So I didn't, but for example, on the Mach-E 1400, there is a sound system integrated within the car. And I know that it's one of the things because we keep developing it. It's a demonstrator, and it's also a test bed for us to learn and leverage the electric technology and see what we can do with it for production vehicles. And one of the things we're continuing to work on and develop on this car is actually the sound system, to see what kind of sound or noise, if you want to call it noise, we want it to produce when it's driving, so that the people who are on the side of the track watching the demo, what experience that gives them. So that's one of the things that we're working on, and it's one of the things that later on can make its way into a production vehicle, because part of the electric experience, a lot of people are talking about the fact that it's super quiet, but sometimes quiet is not what you're looking for. And especially, in cities, you need to have a sound for the vehicles, otherwise it's dangerous if you don't hear it coming. So it's part of the development of these new electric vehicles. So that's going to be a pretty interesting thing to work on this, to see what we can come up with. And maybe it's going to sound like the Enterprise in Star Trek or something like this. I don't know. There's you've got infinite possibilities. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And
Star Wars racer or something like this.
So I have a couple of sketches. How did that crazy project start? Well, it's based, of course, on the electric Mach-E that was launched last November in LA. But this one has a grille, or it seems to have a grille, which is not necessary for an electric car, actually.
Well, it doesn't really have a grille, so we call it a shield because it's not open.
Oh, it's a shield. Okay.
Yeah, and that's because when we introduced the Mach-E to the public in last year at the LA Auto Show, you had the Mach-E, and the Mach-E GT was on display also there. There was the blue model which was on display, and they have a little bit of a different front fascia. So the Mach-E GT has the one you're showing, the red one, is the standard, I would say, Mach-E, and it has that horseshoe kind of front insert in the front fascia. And that's because the idea was to really show, if it's body color, it really shows we don't need the grille there, and it's not an ICE vehicle. It doesn't have an internal combustion engine, so cooling requirements are different. On the GT, some people wanted to have maybe, I wouldn't call it a more traditional look, but having that bigger shield in the middle made a little bit more of a statement and made it also look closer to what you would expect from the heritage Mustangs like S550 or S197 with having that big grille in the front. So that's why we have a shield there. On the Mach-E 1400, it's actually all carbon fiber. On the Mach-E GT, it's a really cool polycarbonate shell, which is milled from the back with a texture and painted from the back. So it gives a really, really nice new aspect to the front end of the vehicle.
So we have a couple of sketches here, and well, it's pretty close to the end product.
Yeah, we did. So we were approached by RTR with Von Gittin and his designer Lindsay to start this project. Basically, Von and his team at RTR were invited in the studios to, see some of the early work on Bronco and also Mach-E, because they do aftermarket products for it. So we have a few companies like this sometimes that get kind of like a previous look on the vehicles before they come out, so that when the vehicles come out, they can have their parts ready and their designs ready for aftermarket. So they looked at this and they were like, this is really cool. We want to do something with this. We want to do a race vehicle of some sort with this and do demos and show what we can do with the electric power. So that's kind of how they came to Ford Performance, and they said, hey, are you guys interested? So Ford Performance picked up the ball and said, yeah, that's something we could do. And this project just started like that. And we got a few images from RTR, and then I was tasked with doing my own sketches and coming up with my own design for it. And it was a really fast project, but it was really really interesting.
Yes, we're having some trouble with the sound. I hope it's getting better. And okay. So of course this is a prototype, so it's not supposed to be sold, but it's going to race, I think.
Not exactly. So it doesn't really fit. It was not made to fit within any rules or regulations or of any governing body. It really is a demonstrator. We built it to test what we can do with electric power and to show the people what we can do with electric power. Kind of, people have a little bit this state of mind that an electric car just takes you from point A to point B, and it's not that much excitement.
Anthony, I think we could. You should reconnect because the sound is not good at all. Le son est vraiment haché. Okay. So Anthony will be right back, and I'm just going to show you again that incredible video of the Mach-E 1400, the prototype that was released on the 21st of July, and this is just crazy as it can be, and it's like a spaceship actually. So for those who are joining and didn't have the opportunity to see, that is the Mach-E, absolutely nuts. And I guess you had a lot of fun shooting the whole thing.
Yeah, it seems like the guys had I think they shot it over a couple of days. But yeah, it seems like they had a blast doing the video. So just doing the storyboard and putting down ideas for what the story within the video could be was already pretty fun, because we were like, hey, you know, what if we bring that Mustang? Hey, what if we bring a NASCAR? What if we, you know, create that whole family of Mustang vehicles going together and like racing each other? And it sounded a little bit crazy at the time, but then we had our directors at Ford were like, yeah, we can make that happen. So that was cool.
So for those who are not familiar with Von Gitting, and for instance in France, he's a champion, a racing champ, right?
Yeah, he races in Formula Drift, which is the American drifting championship, and I'm not sure exactly which year, but I think he's been Formula Drift champion like once or twice. And he's been racing Mustangs for quite some time now. He's got his own team and his own company, and he races actually 2 Mustangs in the Formula Drift Championship.
So we were saying that Mach-E 1400 is a prototype, of course, so it's not supposed to be sold. But of course, last November you released the first SUV, full electric SUV made by Mustang, and this is the first ever full electric car made by Ford. Well, except for the very beginning of Ford, of course, but in the last decades, this is the first full electric car. How is it perceived in the USA? Electric? Is it? Of course, you have Tesla, you have Fisker, but do Americans drive electric? And especially when it comes to Mustang, which is known for its engines, thermic engines.
Yeah, we see quite a few of them on the road, honestly. With, you know, like you said, on the market in the US, we have Tesla, we have Fisker. There's a few other offerings from OEMs. There's in the US, there's a little bit of a weird rule. So depending on which state you live in, there's some ways you can sell a car and some ways you can't sell a car. So for example, if you want to buy a Tesla in Michigan, I think you can't. There's some weird stuff, but we still see quite a few of them. The new Porsche, what's its name? Taycan? I think it's Taycan. I've seen a few on the road, so there's a few people who actually buy and drive these cars. I think people are opening up to the electric cars. There's definitely people who would need them, would, you know, have the necessity to have one, and it makes sense. In the US, the one thing is that, you know, compared to Europe, gas prices are much lower. If I fill up the tank of my F-150, it's like if I fill up the tank of my Twingo when I was living in France. It's about the same amount of money, which is crazy because the tank is much bigger. But so that doesn't really help for the electric market. But with coming out with the Mustang Mach-E, that really shows that Ford wants to market it as a performance vehicle. So you get a good experience with it. It's not just going from point A to point B silently. You actually have a good driving experience with it. And I think people are gonna, once they sit in it and they drive it, they're gonna realize that this is a really cool car and it deserves the Mustang name. So it's a different customer base to the traditional V8 Mustang, and you'll always have people who say, I prefer my, you know, Mustang V8 with straight pipes or whatever because it's noisy and it's loud. You're always gonna have people like this. I think you got to live with your time, and that product is definitely a product of today's time. So,
and it's all about performance, and so electric cars represents Mustang name very well as well.
Yeah. within Ford, making it a Mustang product and an addition to the Mustang family, I think it really pushed everybody to do an even better job on it and deliver the performance that we were expecting from it, and not just go like, yeah, it's an electric car, it's cool, it's efficient, it doesn't, lower pollution and stuff like this. So the really engineers and designers were really looking at it like, this has to be exciting. People have to want to buy it because they love it, and not just because it's another offering on the market. And that's what differentiates it from some of our competitions, I think.
And it's pretty roomy as well. Of course, you have the trunk, which is quite big because it's a SUV, but since it's electric, you have some room in the front as well.
Yeah, that's a neat feature on the electric cars, is in terms of packaging for us designers, whether you're exterior or interior, that opens new doors to doing things differently. And for example, on this car, you've got extra storage that you wouldn't have if it had an internal combustion engine. So.
Donc, il y a quelqu'un qui me dit, Man Spider, qui dit félicitations pour les lignes de la Ford, Mr. Colard. And but there was another electric car that was released in April, and this time this is the Mustang Cobra Jet 1400. Is the Mustang going to go full electric eventually, or are you going to keep some thermic engines as well?
I don't know. That's future project planning. I'm not really supposed to talk about it. I think there's room to do both. From my own point of view, I think the industry is gonna diversify. There's, electric engines, gas engines, diesel engines. There's a use for each one of them, and I think the market is gonna evolve. That we're gonna have vehicles that do what they're supposed to do, just better, and they'll have the technology that goes with it.
So you're going to keep the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I would try to, yeah.
So I'm going to show a short video showcasing the Ford Mustang Cobra Jet 1400. So is this one going to be on the market, or is it gonna stay a prototype?
Same thing. This one's a prototype where when I was working on it, Brian Novak, who was leading the project on the engineering side, the main thing with this was to test the electric technology in a platform that we know. The Cobra Jet, the Mustang Cobra Jet, we've been racing it with the NHRA drag racing sanctioning body in the US for a few years now, and we know how the platform works. We know, how the suspension works and how to dial it in. So changing only the powertrain was a really good and easy way to test the new technology and know what we can expect in terms of performance, and then be able to just develop it further and further. I know they want to show it at different NHRA events to kind of like race it. I think they want to race it against the ICE version with the gas engine, and doing demos to show that that's one of the racing series that could go electric at some point. So because electricity, you've got instant torque, and if you're doing drag racing, it's pretty interesting. So it's same thing as the Mach-E 1400 test bed, electric technology development platform. So we're trying to maximize the amount of knowledge we can get from these cars.
So you have been pretty productive in the last month. Well, except
in the last few months, it's more our marketing team who's been productive. But for me, it was more like 6 months or a year ago. So.
Because I think you had 3 or 4 releases this year, which is a lot.
Yeah, it was. Cobra Jet, Mach-1, and then Mach-E 1400, like almost all one after the other. So it's been pretty exciting lately, to say the least.
So I was wondering, how is the situation right now in Dearborn? I'm talking about the sanitary situation, of course. Are you live from the factory, or are you?
Yeah, definitely. No, absolutely from home. So no, Ford was really smart in managing the COVID-19 situation. As soon as it became a pandemic situation in the US, they sent everybody back home. That was around early to mid-March. All the designers, engineers, modelers, everybody went back home. We left the studios, packed our stuff, and set up remote desktops at home. So, and we've been working from home ever since. Some of the teams, we had a first wave of employees who went back to work because, you know, we can't bring a milling machine back home and mill the model at home. That's something we just simply can't do. So for some employees who couldn't do their job from home, like the modelers, they went back in the studio, and we put in some new protocols of separating people, distancing them as much as we could when they're working, and also having different shifts so that we wouldn't have more than a certain amount of people in the building at the same time, just to make sure, you know, everybody's safe. So, and we, Ford, by sending everybody home, closing the plants, stopping the production, Jim Hackett, our CEO, just got everybody together and started asking, you know, what can we do to help? Fords have had a history of helping out when in times of needs. You know, World War I and World War II, they were at the forefront of the war effort and of transferring the automotive industry into a war industry and converting the plants. And we did that again. So we partnered with GE and 3M and helped them to boost their production for personal protection equipment. We helped develop new respirators and ventilators that use the F-150 seat ventilation fans. We 3D printed masks and parts and elements for protection equipment. And since then, I mean, we've produced tens of thousands of protection equipment and millions of masks. So it's been it's definitely changed the way we work, and also, you know, the company has tried to help out as much as we could.
And has the production gone back to normal, or is it still going slow?
Don't know if they're back to full 100%. I know they have solutions in the factories to separate the people, but they try to bring back almost everybody back to work.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, because, you know, we still need to produce cars. We still need to have suppliers supply us the parts that we need, and the industry has to keep going. So you can't really stop everything forever.
So, of course, after seeing all those incredible cars, we wonder if they're going to be sold in Europe as well. So the Mach-E, the Mach-1, and the Cobra, are they going to be sold outside of the United States?
So the Mach-E, yeah, Mach-E is a global product. It's going to be sold worldwide. The Mach-1 is global, but North America and basically USA and Canada are going to get it first, and later. So Mach-1 comes, I think, on the market early next year in the spring, and a little bit later in the season you'll have it in some other countries around the globe. So and Cobra Jet and Mach-E 1400, can't buy them.
Too bad.
Yeah, I know, but you'd need quite a few millions, I think, to buy these. So it's something I definitely can't afford.
That's true. Now going personal, not too personal, don't get worried, but what are your influences? When you design, when you draw, where do you find inspiration?
It's a little bit of a mix of different things. I love motorsports in general, whether it's cars, bikes, jet ski, planes. I'm interested as long as it has a way of like a mode of propulsion and it gives pumps up your adrenaline levels quite high. That's something I'm interested into. So I get a lot of inspiration from that, and also just looking online, looking outside, just seeing what other people do, and you always get influenced by where you live and what surrounds you. So whether you know it or not, there's always like in the subconscious part of your brain that's you register these images and you get inspiration from. So there's a little bit of everything. I try not to spend too much time just like going online and looking for pictures that are going to inspire me. I try to just come up with my own stuff, and sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. It's part of the job. There's we throw away so much stuff, so many ideas that 3 days later you look at it and you're like, really? I designed that? I sketched that? No, okay, I can do better. So it's a little bit of everything. Some movies, a lot of sci-fi movies that I love, that I get inspiration from, but it's not necessarily design-wise. Sometimes it's just the ambience of a movie or the mood of a photo that inspires me. Sometimes just the mood of a photo could inspire you into like, oh, the front end of that car, I want it to give kind of that same feeling, and then you find a way to just sketch it and get a similar attitude to the vehicle.
And have you always been interested in cars? I mean, since your childhood? Yes, no?
Yeah, my dad has always been in the automotive industry. My grandfather was a plane pilot, so it's like, and then when he retired, he was rebuilding old motorcycles and stuff like this. So I've always been surrounded by stuff with engines and cars, more specifically. So I think I started sketching. I wouldn't call it sketching back then. I was just starting drawing when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. And by the time, I was always asking my dad, because he was actually pretty good at drawing cars and motorcycles. I think by the time I was 12 or 13, he was asking me, advices and tips on how to sketch. So it's been, I think I've been sketching for like 30 years. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And what, I guess, like every teenager, you had posters on your walls in your bedroom. And what did you have on your wall? I'm just talking about cars.
Yeah, no, I never had anything else than cars, honestly. It was, I remember I had a Ferrari F40, which I think, nothing really special. Everybody had a Ferrari F40 on their wall. I think from, a kid being born in the 80s, you either had the F40 or the Countach on the wall, or maybe the Diablo. But yeah, I didn't really have that many posters on my walls, honestly, maybe 3 or 4. And then I more had sketches that I had made, and I was looking at them and I was like, yeah, I can make this one better, or I can resketch this one, or kind of using my wallpaper as my own like little design studio somehow.
So what is for the young design students who are wondering how you become a designer at a major and iconic car industry? What is your background?
So I did, usual French studies up to the baccalaureate when you were 18. And then after that, I did a master's in transportation design at Strat College, which is one of the design schools in France. This one's there's a few of them throughout France, and you've got 2 located in Paris, which are Créapol and Strat College, and there's one in north of France, which is ISD, and just did 5 years at Strat College, masters in transportation design and product design, also in more general term. And throughout those 5 years, you get to have professional experiences, going abroad, doing internships. I was always more interested in doing internships abroad and almost as far as possible from France. My mom kind of hated that because as soon as I went to design school, like she didn't see me that much anymore. But trying to get as much experience and go to as many countries as I could, because the way people see cars in Japan, for example, is completely different to how we see them in France or how we see them in Detroit. We have very different needs depending on where you live, and I think it's part of the experience and part of the knowledge you need to have as a designer is to know what the customers need and what they're expecting, and because our job is basically to come up with the idea for the vehicles that they're going to want to buy in 5 years or 10 years, not today. Because if we design the cars for what they want today, they already have it. It's already in the driveway. So you're not coming up with anything new. So you've got to think 5 or 10 years ahead, or even sometimes 15, 20 years ahead when it comes down to technology. So as much experience as like everywhere, if possible, to get a better understanding of the customers, and that makes you a better designer to do the products for tomorrow.
I have one more question related to EVs, and it is, how do you position with Polestar? Do you think the electric branch of
Volvo
can compete with Polestar? Is it the same market?
I'm not sure we're aiming for the same customer, because the price range is completely different. Polestar is a much higher price range from what I've seen. They offer different experiences too. If Henry Ford was pretty famous for saying that he wanted to make a car that his employees could afford. So, and I think that's still true within Ford Motor Company. We want to make a car that the guys at Ford can drive and can buy, and we want to see our own cars that we design on the parking lots at Ford, and not just for an elite. So I think it's not the same. It's not necessarily the same customer base. It's a little bit of a different approach to the EV maybe, but it's Mach-E is around $43,000-$44,000. I think Polestar starts over 100,000. So.
Okay, and do you have in France we have incentives to buy electric cars, so you get some money?
Yeah, we have that. Yeah, we have that also in the US. The federal government offers a tax credit on electric vehicles. I think it's roughly $7,500 for the Mach-E. It's a pretty nice chunk of money that you get back when you buy one.
So you talked about the price of the Mach-E. Can you have a price for the Mach-1 as well?
I'm not sure how much they're gonna sell it for. I remember, talking about it when we were working on the car, but I'm not sure they've actually finalized the pricing for it.
Pricing yet? Okay.
Yeah. We're still, there's still a few months to go before we actually sell it. It's within the lineup at Ford. It's going to be under the GT350. So make the math between a GT Performance Pack 2 and a GT350. It's going to be somewhere in there.
So how much does a GT350 cost?
I think it's around $60,000, 60 something.
Okay. And I don't have any more questions. I was looking if we had more questions. Well, we went way over the regular time. Well, thank you a lot, Anthony. It was very interesting. Congratulations on the amazing Mach-1 and Mach-E 1400s, and hope we'll see them pretty soon on European roads, and especially on French roads. And thank you everyone for following on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope. And have a very nice evening and very nice day in the US.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Bonne soirée.
Bye bye. Bonne soirée à tous.